Even look at the kill chain. What are the exposures within applications, and cut off that kill chain. And so ultimately, you're able to assign tickets to your members. One person might look after servers, the other one might look after applications. You can assign it, and you can track easily. Even when I'm at the school district level and I'm collaborating with different schools, I can use that as a collaboration tool, which is very important. And another important thing is really that you should not believe that applying a patch solved the problem. That's a shortcoming of many, even the largest organizations. You would have to revalidate if your patch was effective or not. And here again, you wouldn't have to spend the labor. The tools that you're deploying is bringing back the results to see, did that vulnerability disappear or not? And it would be reported in the system. So it gives you really straight up information at your fingertips that you need to make decisions. And so we have been at this for many years. We're a spin-off of New Mexico Tech, which is one of the leading cybersecurity schools in the country. Our founders were tapped by the US government on a couple projects called Cactus and Brave to help the government define their cybersecurity strategy. And after dealing with the most sophisticated cyber adversaries, they came back and said, we do this for the government, but we should do this for the masses. We should do that for education, for people that normally don't have access to this type of technology. So they put together a software as a service platform in 2012 and rolled that out into the market to really make it available to the masses. We have been extremely successful, grown more than 50% year over year, and really helped a lot of organizations, especially in the education market. And so for us, what we deliver is really this platform concept, where it's a smart connector framework that takes your current existing investments. We're not going in and say, rip everything out. No, you did a great thing. Let's get the input. Let's put it into our platform. Let's then correlate it, contextualize it with threat information. And from there on, we have machine learning technology that really makes the decision for you, that really helps you without hiring a $500,000 headcount as a cyber expert. It gives you the guidance. It gives you step-by-step instructions, what you need to do to strengthen your cybersecurity posture. And so based on the innovative approach, we have earned many industry accolades. One of them just recently as editor's choice from Cyber Defense Magazine for Risk Management Platform of the Year. And so we would hope that really we're here after the session to engage with you, to learn more. What are your challenges? Are they the same that we outline here? And how we can work together as a team. And Mark talked about a trust relationship. That's what we're looking for. It's a two-way street. It's not just us telling you how to do things, but really learning from you what are your particular needs to even fine-tune the solution better and make it more successful.
I don't know who does. Okay, folks, so what am I doing to try and look at security? 3 years ago, how many of you went out to the garages and saw Jack Maynard do a presentation? Anybody here remember that one? Okay, that was an awesome session, wasn't it? So if you don't know who Jack Maynard is, he's spouse of Sandy Maynard, former board member, and Jack will do an intrusion detection for school districts. Fortunately, he stopped doing that. So I have a friend that wants to do that, but I can't get it through the hoops at the school district. It's just too many things, too many issues for me to do. So I'm actually looking to engage CenturyLink in something on this same order to actually do a full intrusion model. And we talked on the phone about it, and I'm not at that point where I can engage them yet, but I can see that with up to 80,000 devices sitting on my network at any point in time, I don't know what's going on. I have a feeling what's going on, I have a pretty good idea of how much bandwidth we're using. I know where we're going. I know our top sites. I know the kids who are bypassing all of our filters going around it. I mean, we are constantly looking at the proxy avoidance. In fact, we have a Palo Alto, I actually have 2 Palo Alto 5050s that are on the core. 10 years ago, I bought the first Palo Alto 4020. It was the best damn investment I ever made. It really was. The sheer exposure of that data that I got out of there gave me the opportunity to see things that I hadn't seen before. We just moved to the 5050 because the 4020 didn't handle 10 gig of data coming into it. So I had to upgrade that. There have been massive advancements in that 5050 model and the software, and I think Federal Way, you guys operate 5050s as well. Anybody else have that? So if you ever want to see it, you know, I can do a join me session or something with somebody. You just let me know. You know, I don't have a problem sharing. That's what this is about, right? You come here to learn about what we do. But again, that's just a firewall. It's not intrusion detection or intrusion prevention. And so I need to find those holes in my network. I need to find those spots where the kids are root hacking me and I don't know it. You know, how many of you were watching the ACPE thread not too long ago and somebody said, the kids are turning off the projectors in the middle of the conversation? You know, the kids, they're just sitting there with their phones, you know, they're playing around. But what are they doing? They're messing with the teacher. They're messing with the rest of the learning. And I'd like to be able to stop some of that stuff, but I also like the organic part of that where the kids are learning and so are the teachers, right? Now, they may be frustrated and we may have issues with the teachers. Is that truly a intrusion? Is it truly a hack? Not so much, because they're just going IR in or some other way into the device. Now, when they take over the teacher's machine, that's a different story, because I don't need keyloggers and other things sitting on the network, and the kids are smart enough to do that. And we catch that quite often. What we catch more of is the teacher doesn't understand that the 2 ends of the network patch cable don't go into the 2 ports on the wall. Okay? So we have more issues there. And we have to do some training. But I'm headed towards having all of my staff get to the point where it is untethered. So that means I'm going to be putting something on the projector that allows them to project remotely. So now I've got another device that's sitting there that potentially could be a gateway in. Then I've got a tablet, and that tablet goes home with the teacher and comes back. There's potential that they go home, and what do? They may have a Windows tablet, comes back corrupted. iPads I don't have as much concern over. Galaxy tabs, I'm still learning. We still have some issues there where people don't know what they're clicking on, and I assume we're going to start seeing some exposure there. I just encourage you to think through those as well and talk with these gentlemen about the opportunities that CenturyLink has to offer you as a client, as a business partner. They can provide services for us. And I'm sure if I talk to Marty Levengood, who's their boss, he would probably say, the more the merrier, jumping on, and if there's a way that he can help out ACPE, he would try and help us out. So think about that. Now we want to open it up for questions, because we got about 15 minutes left. Yes, sir.
I had a question about security and about being a target to risk.
All right, come on up.
Actually, this is also kind of for more of a district standpoint.
Oh my.
So, how big of a target do you feel that you are? And to reference the example of Target, they have data in there, credit card data, customer information that can be flipped over into cash. And so that is a real, I mean, that's a revenue generating, piece of cheese that they have. Now in the school district, we don't have necessarily.
We have lots and lots of data.
So how do, compare comparison, in those situations, I feel like a big target, like a bank, target, credit institution, a school district, the data that we hold on to, aside from the obvious ransom component, which that's an issue, that data being stolen. I mean, is that really, do we feel like we're targets from that standpoint?
Okay, so I'm kind of gonna throw this back a little bit. If you were watching ACPE, there was an email thread that came out. One of our member districts from ACPE, actually, an employee received an email from what looked like the superintendent asking for all Social Security information, meaning the name, the address, Social Security number, all that data. And the employee thought it was legit, turned around, exported a file out of the system and sent it off. Now, this is conjecture on my part because I'm not positive. I would assume that if you looked, the spoofing address was not right. So if I would have looked at the address, it probably said it was going to another location. But in this particular case, the school district sent out personal information. How many of your districts received that same email? You guys have not seen that?
Something similar.
Okay, it's coming to your school board members and to your superintendent, and the email is directed to the payroll person. They are going online to our websites and they are looking for the payroll person. They are looking for all the addresses of the executives and they are targeting that group. So are we being targeted? Hell yes, we're being targeted. And it's not just through that kind of a solution. We get targeted by all kinds of things. I don't keep any credit cards. We actually have outsourced all that information just because I don't want to go through the FSMA. I don't want to have anything to do with that.
Yeah, I mean, what you're describing right there, we've experienced that. A lot of kind of what that scenario is a social engineering component through
It
a
is.
phishing attempt as opposed to an actual malware attack or a DDoS or some security method aside from training our users. Or I mean, we instituted a component now that you have to verify the spoofing address, otherwise in district you can't receive emails, and that's actually helps with that for future things. But but from a technical standpoint, I mean, people trying to break in that way.
Technical standpoint, we're getting hit all the time. We actually watch it. So we know when they're trying to get into our network. We can see the addresses coming in. One of my network engineers, he basically is running a screen that's solely on attacks coming in. We only purport one address out. I don't know what everybody else does. I run a 10 network inside, so .175 is the only address anybody ever sees from Highland Public Schools. And so we watch that 175 all the time, and we're seeing what kind of traffic is flowing through. And we can tell if somebody's coming in and trying to hit it. Now, I'm going to also go back to another ACPE list session that was going on not too long ago about an individual who said DDoS attack. They were getting hit. I can't remember, it was probably about a month ago. Does everybody remember that thread? It was a pretty long thread, pretty digested. And then there was a recent one that kind of came back from, I'm going to say a name and I probably shouldn't. Was it Glenn Wickham had one? Or Garen Shannon? Garen Shannon, that's who it was. At Pullman Public Schools, and they were getting hit. So yes, we get attacked all the time, and we're looking at that. I mean, I am very, very careful about everything that we do in terms of access, and I walk that fine line because I'm trying to be open too. So a lot of people have thought about, and I've thought about this one quite a bit, is do I turn my district into a VPN in district? So when you're in district, you have to VPN in and then you're inside my network. Otherwise you're open. You don't reside anywhere inside my network. It's just basically traffic in and out through a switch. But if I VPN it, then I know who's inside and I can control those people inside and what they have access to.
Mark, can I add to that?
Yes, sir.
because I see your point about the lack of credit card information, but from a national standpoint, we're seeing more and more DDoS attacks, especially during test period. I don't know how that works, but all of a sudden the network goes down. So that component, there have been a number of ransomware attacks, surprisingly, on school districts who have no money. Why are you thinking about going after school district for? So they're taking control of the network, the data, and saying, you're not getting it back until you pay us something. And lastly, then there's the whole element of student data information that parents get a little itchy about if there's, Johnny's information is made public. So especially in the South, for some reason, there's a significant amount of attacks going after student data information that we're seeing. So it's a wide array, not necessarily going after credit card information that you don't have, but just so many different ways they can come at you. And the key is, as you add devices onto your network, through the evolution of the Internet of Things, it's just going to be more and more. That's why we've partnered with RiskSense to be our to bring in for that specific instance. They're a phenomenal company that brings a wide portfolio, kind of rounds out our significant portfolio to do so.
Wanted to make another comment. So on any given day, you might think that the data that you're holding might not be important. As an isolated data point, that might be correct. But if you're dealing with sophisticated attackers, like state-sponsored attackers, they're not looking at an isolated data point. They're looking at the big picture. So they're retrieving some information about a diplomat's children from a school. At the same time, they're retrieving information from a government agency that that person works for. And they're puzzling the pieces together. So don't underestimate the data that you're holding in your school districts. They give a very sophisticated attacker a lot of additional information that they can leverage, not just in their attacks, but also to use against individuals. So keep that in mind.
Any other questions? Don't hold back. I don't. Okay, yes, sir.
What software application is she using for the hits on
You would ask me something like that. Honestly, I'd have to ask Torrin because I don't know what he's running. But I know he's got 3 or 4 open source tools that he's using, and he's got them all tiled on his one screen. So he's running like a 21-inch monitor. He's got 4 of them running there, and he knows what he's watching. So I'll find out. Other thoughts? Okay, first, before you get up and start moving around, was this a helpful session for you? Do you like the interactive part of it where there's more questions? Do you like the idea of more sessions that are not just one vendor, but multiple vendors together, and then interaction with the school district perspective? Okay. Honestly, I couldn't respond to the session on risk assessment other than what we're trying to do, but we have talked on the phone, and I am interested in going down that path. CenturyLink is a partner, and I do work with CenturyLink, and I like working with CenturyLink. But what we are trying to do here at ACPE is make sure that these sessions are valuable for all attendees, that you don't walk into a session and get up and walk out 5 minutes later because it didn't meet your needs. We can't adjust if we don't know what's going on. So we have evaluations, obviously. Please, be honest. If this didn't meet your needs, let us know. Because if I can't meet your needs, then I either need to think about how to redo this with the rest of the board, or I maybe need to not do a presentation. Because maybe it's me, okay? And I do like being on the board, and I like presenting, giving you some feedback. If you have questions for me, obviously you can hit me up at mark.finstrom@highlineschools.org. Twitter, #CTO_Mark. I have another session with another company called Guide K-12 here in a little bit, which is, the title says location, location, location. It's a little bit more than that, folks. This is exposure into the data that these guys might not want you to see on the network, because it's data that has other things. Like I have polling data, census data, SIS data, I have everything related to my school district on a map, a physical map, and I can actually tell you how many kids live in a residence. I can tell you their ages. I can tell you everything about them just by clicking on a dot on a map. I can also find out where my students are in relationship to my area. I have 5 cities in unincorporated King County that I serve up in the Seattle area. And I can look by site. I have 42 schools. I know where those kids are based on those 42 schools, where they live. How many of them are McKinney-Vento that drive up to 60 miles a day to go to their same school? The kind of data that you don't see when you look at it in spreadsheet format. So if you're interested in that, it's going to be in the middle classroom over there. It's called Location, Location, Location. It's Guide K-12. And you guys have to wrap up a little bit about what services you have.
Yeah. Well, what I want to suggest, Mark, is maybe we can use you as an example.
Guinea pig?
No, an example.
An example.
You know, not today, but
Oh,
for
yes.
doing a risk assessment and,
Yeah.
and then share it with your audience here.
I'm
So
good
that
with that.
lessons learned and, you know, what we
Don't
came
tell
from it.
Sean. I don't want to scare him.
But we'll be over, we have a table over there. My colleagues are sitting all over there, 2 in black shirts, 2 in white shirts. I'm not sure what that means.
Wave.
So make sure you come visit us.
They're over in Mallards tonight, and they're in the hallway as you're going back to the back area. Okay, so look for the CenturyLink.
To get to the bars, I
Yeah,
understand,
it's on the
right?
way to the bar.
Okay, so you'll see us.
Don't forget, there's some food over here and drinks, and thank you all. Thank you very much.